So, Eric, you had this incredible thing happen with Tiger King. I mean, it was a documentary filmmaker's dream to have that much rich material, and then it comes out just as COVID is beginning, is watched by millions of people around the world, becomes this phenomenon. I mean, a lot of people could say, like, okay, I'm good with my documentary career. Like, how do I top that? What made you feel like, now let me do this again?
Uh, well, first of all, I really never expected this to be, as interesting as it became. After Tiger King, we cast a wide net looking at all kinds of subcultures in the animal world. And one of those was this world of monkey moms that I knew nothing about. But little, frankly, I would think people like yourself would think we made it up, because how can that happen twice? That you're filming, cat people, and then you're filming chimp and monkey people, and something as bizarre as what happened happens. So I would think that people shouldn't believe this story.
Yeah. But you are telling we should believe this story.
Yeah, but I could see why people might question, the story.
Yeah.
But yes, it's completely true. We were, in many ways, we wanted to do a different project actually after Tiger King, because it felt so, in so many ways similar in a way, and we don't want to just do the same thing over and over again. But it's what happened.
So, Jeremy, as I kind of described in the setup, there's certain layers of deception that are involved in the making of this. You hired this guy, Dwayne Cunningham, to go meet Tanya Haddix, spend lots of time with her. He has a background that she might assume would make her more sympathetic to her story than if Eric Goode, the Tiger King guy, knocked on her door and said he wants to make a documentary about her. How did you as a team kind of rationalize these different layers of deception?
That's a good question. So I think for starters, we had a pretty long production cycle and editorial schedule. So I think we were on this project for about 4.5 years, of which maybe 250 days of filming, real days, multi-camera. We would send, it would be very often, very, very common for us to send out crews to cover material that we couldn't be at. And so this, as Eric mentioned, kind of the background, we had very deep interest in these basically human stories that kind of centered around these subcultures of animal interest and in many cases, with the monkeys, it was more about attachments and exotic pets. And we wanted to kind of see this world through the originator of the world, which Connie Casey, which we cover very early in the show. So we had to find someone that could really be the right person to cover the confiscation. We really found Dwayne Cunningham, who was a big part of the team effort for a long time. So I think it was sort of, for us, what's really hard with this is that it was never really calculated in the sense of, we knew this person would be the right person to deceive this, and we were going to see a missing chimpanzee at the end of the day. I think it was more of a cover the event, and through the coverage of the event, we realized, oh no, Dwayne's now stuck in this environment with a person that that now has committed this abduction of an animal that we have to now wrestle with what we're going to do, not only to cover it, but to be safe and handle what's best for our crew and obviously the subject as well.
I should say, for people who haven't seen it, there is a disclosure made eventually to Tanya that the person behind this project is Eric, and Eric, you sit down and interview Tanya. One of the things you say to her is like, I understand an attachment to animals. As your Turtle Conservancy, you feel deeply connected to the creatures that you have. What did you feel about Tanya? Like, what is your perception of her?
Listen, Tanya, I had mixed feelings about Tanya, and I spent well over a year filming Tanya. So, it appears sometimes I wasn't there as much as I was, and I was there quite a bit with Tanya, and she was very generous to let us into her world. And the way it would typically go, I would show up and she'd be maybe 3 hours late, and our crew would be waiting, and I'd say, Tanya, you were supposed to be ready at 9, and she'd say, we're ready at 1 o'clock, and we have to go. She would say, I have to go to an appointment, and I'd say, well, could we at least follow you to that appointment? And that would be maybe, getting a tan or getting your eyelashes done, or and I would take advantage of those moments, but it wasn't contrived or us trying to come up with ideas. It was literally us shadowing Tanya. So, part of me was, I felt, wow, she's so open and willing to let us into her world. And I felt very privileged and lucky to have a subject like that. On the flip side, she's her own worst enemy, and she can't stop talking. So I just want to be clear about the deception. Dwayne Cunningham, we brought him in to interview and try to make contact with Connie Casey, who we knew hadn't given an interview for many years. A colleague of mine did a book called Forbidden Creatures, maybe 15 years earlier, and he was really one of the last people to gain an interview with her. And I knew that she would be hard, and we never did gain access to Connie. We met Tanya, who we didn't even know existed, and Tanya will talk to anyone, and Dwayne got comfortable with her. You could argue maybe I should have come in sooner, and that is something that we, grapple with. But she didn't skip a beat when I first interviewed her. It wasn't like, oh my God, I'm not going to talk to you. You did Tiger King. It was quite the opposite.
So, Jeremy, let's go back to this filming 250 days, because I think it's that, ability when you can do that allows you to be there when all these different twists and turns happen in both these series that you're now well known for, Tiger King and Chimp Crazy. So, can you talk about your structure as a film company that allows you to be filming for 250 days?
A lot of that was during a period of COVID, and obviously with the 4-year overlap. So we were on the road. We were covering multiple things, multiple projects at the same time. So in many cases, we were in territories where we'd film for one idea of a project and also cover something else. And so we were very efficient that way. But we're also very lean. So some of in this episode, for those that have seen it, you guys will appreciate this too. Some of the best moments that you have come oftentimes when you least expect them, with resources you wish you had. There was one particular day towards the end of this episode where Eric's filming at Dwayne Cunningham's niece's birthday party, where he's performing as a circus clown. And it also so happens to be the day where Tanya calls Dwayne and says that she's going to kill the chimpanzee. So, and you cover that by yourself with one camera, basically a camera operator, who was just like the last guy I could get to come cover. And you rig your own sound. Well,
the entire crew is me and my camera guy, and he did sound.
Yeah, he rigged your own sound and all that stuff. So it was really one of these things where
very gonzo.
It was like gonzo. It probably has the most return on coverage that we have, but it was one of those things that reminded us very early, we want to film every moment we can. Whatever in any capacity we could, either a small crew, a satellite crew. We had many people covering this along the way, but it was very structurally that way, and then we had remote teams kind of everywhere covering the edit as well, which was also really hard to kind of bring in and hone in.
So, not a good strategy if you want to make a living as a filmmaker to shoot 250 days on one doc series.
Can you talk about the concrete things that you've seen come of these series? I know that, there was legislation that came out of Tiger King, and what do you hope, given that you have dedicated a great deal of your life to animal conservation. What do you hope that making these films does in that pursuit?
Yeah, good question. I should just point out, in the onset that I am not, the animal police. I'm not even an animal rights activist. I'm, if anything, an animal welfare activist. I'm not wearing leather right now, but I do wear leather and I do eat meat from time to time. And so I'm not a hardcore animal rights activist, although I think they are oftentimes wonderful. So, I go into this really caring more about, the species that we inhabit this planet with, more with respect. And in the case of this chimpanzees, because I don't want to look like a hypocrite, because I do, have and kept animals my entire life. I do think chimpanzees are on a different level and as some other species and are not suited to be kept in a cage alone. And so they live horrible lives, and most primates, frankly, are highly social, complex animals like we are. And what Tonka was deprived of, being in the basement of Tanya's house more than anything, Tonka had a color TV and air conditioning and all the candy it wanted and McDonald's, but it was missing the companionship of another chimp. And that was the biggest thing. And so Tonka today is with a group of chimps and can, yeah. So hopefully we can make change, and we do not want to make films that only preach to the converted. And that's part of why it's important for us to make films that are entertaining, so you can reach people that wouldn't even want to be contemplating this issue. And yes, Tiger King did pass legislation which no longer, people can no longer have puppy mills of tigers and use them and exploit them for photo ops in this country.
But also, actually, they about 2 weeks ago they reintroduced a bill that's had a hard time for about 20 years, been sitting on the shelf, that would ban basically the purchase of all primates, not just chimpanzees, in the United States, which is a massive market. So if you see them, if you see animals at markets or at someone's backyard in a roadside zoo, it's very inhumane. So I think there's a pending bill that's gone through the House now. That's going to have some really good momentum following this film to get a chance at being passed.
I think it's the Public Primate Safety Act.
Yeah, Captive
Primate Safety Act.
Yeah.
Well, it now has a new audience of people who will be following that bill thanks to this show. Chimp Crazy, it's out from HBO Documentary Films. Thanks very much to Eric Goode and Jeremy McBride.